So, in the middle of the night, our protagonist got out into the street for the first time in his life. For such a hake, this was a breakthrough and went. He swings the swing, swayed, remembered, you were like your life as everyone in the class tried to communicate with him, that there was muddy water in the toilet, and he didn't want this yet. I don't understand at all why this relationship is needed. While he was thinking about it, he flew his forehead straight into the ground, opening the phone, and there everyone writes about beer. Beer, but while he was walking down the street, he saw a beer store. He wanted to be tough. He invaded with a foamy drink, and then some girl appears and says that you can't do this. She grabs him and begins to lead her somewhere and shows the local drunks, beats them off to all five who decided to do the same, but they did not douse him. In general, he had to go somewhere, and they had already gone far, but she said, you can hang out with me, and begins to change her clothes harshly for the reason. Such an op back and forth showed her pulls that he had a fight so much that he already wanted to run, but she said, don't be afraid, I just passed the tip. All Chow lay down and could not fall asleep, so there was also a Japanese in the middle of the night. So, with 100, he actually has a little blood, although she tried to tell him that she was not a bloodsucker, although he could not understand it worse than blood from his neck. But then he had a question, what did the Baraka not stop about? She says that you need to fall in love with me, then you can become a bloodsucker. Well, they are shorter. They went out into the street. The woman swelled. I began to say that hex is something forbidden. People sat down suckers in general. Visually, everything that the life of his athlete is a thumping woman gets up and says, people are the cracks of the yepta. There is your daytime life decay. Make it so that it is replaced by a night life and your life becomes so cool that such a bizarre of the image is all fucking turning into a vampire. I'll suck hard, she says. I just don't forgive and give myself for the sake of this. Try here, and the plot of the glasses begins, and then they went to fly on Skype. It's tough. She can go out the next time a person goes out late at night, and bandages to them. Mom walks back and forth, she's nowhere to be found, looks at the table, then she's such an evil hammer. There is a phone, she says. No, I went to suck on others. He condemns her. He comes to her house. She shows her good old clunker Totsky phone, says, buy yourself an iPhone 14 about Max at a discount. Fucking they went to bed, and he could only think about that. That she sucks there to everyone who, without hitting well, Babinsev has become such a suck. I'm just your friend and that's it. Well, I pumped his non. And there is a positive service. The next night he went out again to look for her bitch, but he could not find it anywhere. As a result, he showed her his tough radio broadcast, which he generally had as a child with his girlfriend Herzeo in order to find each other, and gave her how the bass goes, and radio broadcasts work with reference to connections, gives out a basic cook police. He flew like that, and he thought that if she hadn't treated anyone before, then she didn't suck anyone at all. It's just him who will be deceived by it. And even while Shamil was wandering around at night, he met his girlfriend from childhood, which he called the Cody Port, because the man said that he had friends, and there was one cutie who sat with him as a child and looked at the ants, but he told her that she was already sucking health. He begins to be jealous. They say that you go to all sorts of women there, let me suck and go wherever you want, but the person dumped her until they sucked her, otherwise you can stay without blood to sit down with a girlfriend on the bench, and there he comes with a link. They begin a very fierce conflict. She says that she is generally a vampire without a twinge of conscience and so on. The girl sits as in what has not happened, usually a day at all. In general, everyone sipped beer and went home, then they just escaped. And this is generally higher than a kiss here, and she appears. He says, well, let's check with you, I'll turn vampires, and nothing happened. What a pity, you need something a little more than just sucking. While he walked in, the body met his girlfriend. Well, they decided on this occasion to hack into a curling iron in Tekken, and then went to play a novel, but there he also showed a masterclass, shot all the girls like a true hickey. Well, then they stayed at the Exile for the night, and what lay in the Zoom of atoms, and just could not fall asleep, and so juicy, so beautiful. No love for anyone, he only saw the girls on TV novels, but in the morning because Eugene left, sits with a link, plays a curling iron and even understands that her life is somehow boring. She goes out into the street and sees that her delivery has been cancelled, because she has been sleeping all day, her fart has burned out, and in order to cool it down, she went outside to play with her pretty little, pull her back and forth, and remembers that she needs glasses in the bathhouse. Either a friend of the Pebbles was already waiting for her, otherwise you did not recognize that he had a shaggy and unwashed ban, but he decided to go wash himself. He lay down, thought about the saint, goes out into the street, his blood accelerated so much that he had a bell. She hugged him, was going to suck, but he says that a friend come on without it, otherwise you will suck all the blood, and so it sucked at him that they decided to go to the motel to relax. But about business, I decided to go over the neighbors and turned on the park fly at full volume. Then she asked him to help with work. They come to her house, and she tells him, undress, he undresses, lies down, and she begins to massage him hard. At night, coins back and forth, because she, like a vampire, sees how best to massage a person's body. Here one client comes to her, who discovers such a healthy one, why go through whom? For some reason, she can't massage her. So let's say what I believe in you, as in Jesus Christ yourself. But the dude is swollen in his life, he has never massaged anyone, and here you have to start. But he says the rains will love you with all my heart if you do this. But it's nothing you can imagine the face of this car stream madam, which came purely hard to warm up. Or before that, she was saved from stress only by this food for you, which tightly kneaded her back, and then some kind of suffocation who he would only paw her boobs, but barely crumple her muscles. But in the end, the person turned out to be a good meow, if not in himself. But then they began a tough, some kind of heart-to-heart dialogue against the background, which she began to say that she was generally useless. Then the boss calls her, which means it's time to go, work. What he says, I won't look for you anywhere, we won't be slaves, and in the end throw her stupidly out the window. Then he sang his armful, and so he also jumped after her. Here is the window here, and the vampire went after them. You have to save the fool somehow, in the end. When they landed in Gopher suspecting anything suspicious and says that, you see, she was just tired. Well, White Chalk, thank you for your faith in me. After such a hard day's work, you need to go to rest well. So they went to the night pool, a club, where he just sat and unsubscribed, because no one was particularly interested in him, like his sucking girlfriend, in which, by the way, some cellist rolled in, to which RG began to be jealous and pull out Anka with roots. They say, what were you all about? She took it, jumped with him and threw herself right into the pool. That's tough. He goes out into the cracks, seeming, as always, to hang out on the street at night and not find his girlfriend, finds another, which I sang at first, today's some kind of dialogue, but he was not interested. He looked at her cool poles, then this woman spizzled his juice, but here it is already necessary to solve the problem of knocking assistance out of this bitch everywhere. He went after her, and she took him, hugged him, and said that now she would suck hard, otherwise you come with a link and open your hand there, and the woman. They just have fierce sex. Kill the vampires, another one comes to be discharged, some kind of brow writes to us. The lair of vampires, in the end, they explain to him that buddy you bim bom this girlfriend will suck your whole daughter out of you, he generally doubles Nilovich, what's going on? But apparently, the girls wanted to protect him from his fucking what, so I didn't understand it, and she used to suck her Chella into herself, and this is what they are discussing. Also Rush to save her sidekick arrives, and at this moment he says that he loves her, but other girls think that she frowned at him. Masha, they say, well, we'll sew you up, you put a hard vampire. She says they removed her paws. Only I will suck the links from him and everything is shorter. They said you have time from the rain on Thursday so that he becomes your pepper, and with his posture still clearly sucked him hard, but they flew themselves in good health, which, as always, walked at night and met his other girlfriend during the day, so to speak, and she broke through school nostalgia. When the three of them were hanging out with one Carrie fan chick, who was such a beautiful pine boy, together they picked mosquitoes, and now at school there are efforts, after which she walked down the street and met another dump, and with her he wondered if such love was superfluous? Well, yes, she replied that love is love. And the dude decided to ask his They went to the cinema, and he almost did something with Tom, how scared she was. They went to a cafe, and he just almost did it. As a result, he lay down like an oak tree on the sofa and lay with him how mediocre he was. Well, the coolest date they had was when she decided to just drive him around the city thanks to her vampire power. But when they walked up, the dude that on the street met his caliph, and on the childhood with which they looked at ants from there, and the girlfriend pulled up, and he at least remembered that in addition to vampires, there are still people in this world. The next day, our social network begins to score with a different lineup. Hi, they don't get along all the time, and that's why our protagonist decided to build with a link to take a walk. We condemn this, he does not go to karaoke in order to sing the Dora Fool partially to the microphone. Why did she go nuts? He did not forget that, first of all, they are dangerous people, and they suck their blood for their own benefit. In short, he generally had a fight, ran out into the street in a panic with this brow to save him, and he says that everything is fine, brothers in general on a date. Like, this is a beautiful girl, helped him when he lost his glasses there, they spent time together, and she is the only one who truly understands him. And then the vampire came, and our social network nailed her to be silent. You thought about it? Well, so, I decided to understand that she would not be able to bite with a bespectacled man, no matter how much I loved him, and he would not suck, but the forehead says suck, I love you, but she sucked, and everything was fun and went to sing karaoke. And the next day their girlfriend is so sad, fuck him, I need to look for a replacement for her. Cafe Ethan finds our company and links, and the protagonist asks them to hang out with her. But she forced only a girl, a sechka, and a cafe bar with cute maids to work. Baldell watched as the girls shook their attempts to please a local customer. It was nice, but in general, they shook up to the girl, thanked them for such help, but only she was sent her own photo. They had a new task to find a stalker without Togo, but only all this demagogy of theirs took place instead of the locker room. Therefore, the man had to get out of there for a while, and then a working plan ripened, like his royal watch, from the same place to look at the locker room of the glasses in order to find the local stalker. For the experiment, they took a picture of a girl who was changing clothes. Well, when a childhood friend came in, he told her his wonderful plan. Yes, it was only necessary to dump. Another girl was going to change clothes, and he and his girlfriend locked themselves in the closet with dough, rested their bells on her, and watched the girl change clothes. It turned out that they were photographed by a vampire. This is a college. The real day of the vampire's salary bought her caravan bed so that he would not sleep on the floor. He was already quite on his way to his house and met some kind of girl who was a local detective and asked him to go with her. He asks, "What are you doing?" She says, "I'm tracking vampires, helping us people myself." "You're a man doing nothing," she says. "I've seen a brow hit." "I haven't seen him," he says. "I haven't seen him, and this is the same dude that the white-browed vampire sucked off." "But he grabs him by the balls," says the pussy. He says, "I don't right." "Well," he says, "okay," so they parted, but then, without thinking twice, our school kids decided to hang out together in a brooch. They go there, come here, scares each other. In this one, everything seems to be fun until it accidentally strains the brow, which was a vampire, and he pounced on him, and at least the dude made it a table. And then the US detective comes, on which the person does not bend down, wants to suck it off, sucks it out, and as a result, her blood seems to him an abomination. As a result, she tells him, "Let's throw the pills." He refuses and just evaporates from the sun. Then the man realized that a vampire is not kukramukra, they will suck and then there will be nothing left of you, and he himself generally thought about what he wants from being a vampire. He also wants this or doesn't want anything, and he began to communicate with his girlfriend about these vampire sucking. She says that she is no longer 1 dozen, in fact a vampire, and that there is nothing fucking funny in this share yet. You drink beer and wander in yourself at night. Everyone was going to leave. The report proved that he got up and fell on her by accident, says Riaba. She almost sucked everything from him and yes ran away. Who's showing a tilka down the street was also met by the detective show, who knows everything about him. In what shelf he has porn magazines, at what time he jerks off, at what time he jumps, how much he jumps. The dude got scared and explains that yes, like here's a pepper for you, of course, to be cool, you need to suck. People already have tin, of course, there are also bad people, but vampires are generally a fucking guy says. Let's post where everyone is there. Well, dude, he's something, but ran away from her, kept the number with him, but also hinted to him that he did not think that vampires were predators, those, and indeed his girlfriend would him and himself, if he seen he hid. He sat in the booth such a sad dick. He was quietly met by some girl, a fuck, he went home to her. And what to do? She went to wash, comes out, says I won't suck him, and don't kill him. They break the table, they say, bitch, it's not according to the rules of the creature, I'll knock out these teeth. But what does this man begin to discuss? Love looked at him, thought that he was not gay shorter. He needs all these whistles, alterations, and in general he really just wants to fall in love with this vampire and everything is there and fun. He resorts to these references to others, he says, but where do they say nowhere? But then he went to look for her, and he is an expert, because where to look for people at night comes to a beer store and says that a friend is shorter fun, I was with you, let's hang out, and she sucked him in, and whether he became a vampire or not, this is a mystery but not a mystery point.